A rewritten book, the previous one had too many poison points. This time, try to avoid these pitfalls as much as possible. This book is the same as this one, writing about two worldviews. The plot in the book has slightly changed. Red said in shock, "Did you summon all these robots? Who the hell are you?" Zhen said, "I'm just a passing Gundam driver, remember it for me." Chapter 1. First Meeting. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The system is starting to sign in, said Zhen. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the ability to summon angels, 00, Unicorn Gundam, a wristband that can summon Gundam, a driver's book for Gundam, and an additional green arrow. Zhen hugged Haruo and asked, if Gundam is damaged in battle, how should it be repaired? What if Gundam is forcibly boarded into the cockpit by someone else? You just need to leave the cockpit of Gundam, and Gundam will transform into a spot of light, return to your wrist and automatically repair. Angels and 00 can only be unlocked through your pupils, while unicorns require your brainwaves to drive. The system replied. After listening, Zhen felt relieved. Zhen came to this world because of an accident, even though she knew it was the world of Transformers. After arriving in this world, he had the system change his appearance to Banaji Lynx. After all, Banaji Lynx appears to be an honest person at first glance. Before the start of the plot, Zhen was constantly strengthening her body to better adapt to Gundam. After obtaining the Gundam, I have been practicing my driving skills in Antarctica. He came to the school of the protagonist group as a transfer student and became their classmate. Zhen first talked to Red about recent events, and soon they became good friends. Red introduced Zhen to Carlos and Alexis. Why don't we go on an adventure in the nearby mountains over the weekend? Zhen suggested. Sure, Carlos and I happen to have the same idea, but we don't know if Alexis will go, said Red as he sorted out his backpack. I won't go, I have to finish my homework at home on the weekend, Alexis replied. Alright, let's pack up and gather at school tomorrow. Zhen took Haro out of his backpack. Haro flapped his wings and said, we'll gather at school tomorrow. Alexis was immediately attracted by Haro's appearance when she saw him. She was about to ask Zhen what it was, but only saw Zhen leave school with Haro. On the second day, Zhen drove his motorcycle to the outside of the school. Red and Carlos followed closely and arrived at the school. The three of them first greeted each other, then began to tidy up their things and prepare to go up the mountain. Zhen took Haruo out of his backpack. Red asked curiously, what is this? Zhen sorted out her backpack and pointed to Hello, saying, this is an artificial intelligence made by my family, only this one. Carlos urged, have you finished organizing your things? I can't wait to explore the cave. Then the three of them drove their vehicles to the destination. The three of them arrived at the mountaintop and found a cave that was out of sight. Red asked anxiously, is this really okay? We won't get lost in the cave, will we? Carlos confidently said, we just need to tie the rope in one place and pull it forward. I believe the length of the rope is enough for us to explore this cave. Finally, Carlos took out a flashlight and shone into the cave. Zhen arranged the stone in her hand as an arrow and suggested, if the rope is not enough, we can use the stone as a symbol to prevent us from getting lost in the cave. The three of them walked towards the depths of this cave, and when they reached the end, Red touched the stone in front of them with his hand. Suddenly, there was a loud noise, and the stone under his feet shattered, forming a monument. The space under his feet was like a tunnel, and the three of them slid down like a slide. As they were about to reach the bottom, Zhen's knee was accidentally scratched by a stone. Red noticed not to use the medical supplies in his backpack to do a simple treatment on Zhen's knee. Carlos used his flashlight to shine around and found that the place they were in was a huge darkroom. The two of them supported Zhen and sighed at the fact that there was a darkroom below the cave. Haro walked through the tunnel and finally found them. Can you two walk a little slower? Zhen said, and Red apologized. I'm sorry, I forgot your leg was just scratched. Red and Carlos took turns carrying Zhen on their backs and accelerating their exploration of this cave. Hero followed closely behind them. They found a glowing object around them. After handing Zhen over to Carlos, Red didn't go up to touch it. Little did he know that when it was touched, it emitted a strong light all over his body. The light emitted an electronic message, which went straight to Cybertron. Alexis saw the electronic message and was afraid of the incident where the three of them were in the cave, so she went alone to the mountain to rescue them. The three of them returned along the same path with the crystal. After leaving the cave, they saw a portal in front of them, and a giant robot emerged from the portal. Carlos felt a sense of unease upon seeing the situation, so he pulled the other two people to escape one after another. Alexis saw the three people running around and went forward to inquire about what had happened, while Lade asked Alexis to follow them on the run. The crystal in his hand accidentally fell off and was seen by Megatron, who reached out to grab it. After a burst of white light, the crystal turned into a mini diamond, which scanned Ryder's bicycle and transformed itself into a vehicle. Mini King Kong asked the four of them to come up, and after Red and Carlos helped Zhen onto the motorcycle, they let Alexis ride his electric scooter. Megatron followed closely behind them, picking up a stone and bouncing it towards the four of them like a marbles. The mini diamond was knocked unconscious by the stone. Others were also affected. Megatron threatened upon seeing this and said, "You took something from me, return it to me immediately, otherwise you will pay the price for it." Seeing that the others had not reacted yet, I was unexpectedly grabbed by the mini King Kong. "Stop, Megatron." Megatron heard the sound and knew who the person was coming. Optimus Prime. Then Megatron ignored the mini King Kong and fought against Optimus Prime 1v1. Optimus Prime took Megatron to a place far away from Ryder and others, and then the two of them got into a fight. During the battle between the two, Zhen put on her Gundam driving suit, selected the Ning Angel from the bracelet, summoned the Ning Angel, and arrived at the Ning Angel's cab. Upon seeing this, Ryder asked, "What are you driving this robot for?" Zhen replied, "Nonsense, of course we're taking you to a safe place." Then Ning Angel reached out and grabbed them, placing them inside the cockpit. I said, "Isn't it a bit crowded with 5 people in a small space?" Carlos said as he moved his body. "Don't complain, let's leave this damn place first and then discuss slowly," said Alexis. Zhen drove the Ning Angel away from the battlefield, placing Hero in a dedicated position and letting him check the situation around him. In theory, angels can quickly leave the battlefield, but Zhen does not want to leave the battlefield. After all, there are too many Kong in the same spaceship. Chapter 2. 1,003 Without Any Panic. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Suddenly, 4 portals appeared in front of the angel, and those who walked out of the portals were Red Spider, Destroyer, Slash, and Red Alert. Angel Ning took out his GN short sword from his right waist and stabbed the Destroyer in front of him. The Destroyer had no time to escape, and his body was pierced with sparks, causing him to take several steps back. Angel Ning took the opportunity to reach the mountaintop. After Zhen put them down, he slowly descended from Gunda's body holding Haruo, and then casually transformed into dots of light every day, returning to the bracelet. And carry out repairs. Megatron fell behind in the battle with Optimus Prime and was soon caught by a loophole and knocked down by him. Every day, we had to evacuate the other Decepticons back into the spaceship. Return to Megatron in the base and let the Fury search for the scattered mini-Vajra on Earth. What did you just drive? Lade asked. I just drove a Gundam, no. To be precise, I am Gundam. Zhen replied. Alexis roast. You are in the late stage of the second stage disease. Well, what should we do now? We don't even know why the robot still catches us. Maybe it's because of him. So we absolutely can't give this robot to him, Carlos replied. But we can't always carry this guy with us, can we? Anla, the robot with me outside will definitely not harm you, Zhen said as she explored the mechanism. With only a loud bang, there was a commotion in the space where the four of them were located, and a large gate isolated them inside. The door outside is closed, Harrow reminded, flapping his little wings to search for the hidden mechanism. We won't be trapped here anymore, will we? Alexis said anxiously. Red joked, looking in the other direction, my group of big guys can't get in. Zhen walked deeper and said, we should look for a switch to open this door. Then they arrived at the control center, where Ryder Control Center searched for information about Transformers. He explained to others, the robot on the left is called Megatron, and his purpose is to rule the entire universe. The robot on the right is called Optimus Prime, and his purpose is to stop Megatron. Megatron belongs to the Decepticons camp, while Optimus Prime belongs to the Autobots camp. The Mini King Kong opened a door, inside which there were 2 crystals of Mini King Kong. Carlos and Alexis woke up the 2 Mini King Kong, and the 2 beside them scanned their vehicles. After successfully converting them into vehicles, they began to search for their way out. Megatron found his own Mini King Kong in the moon. After awakening the Mini King Kong, he believed he had the ability to defeat Optimus Prime. However, he knew he needed the Mini King Kong very much, so he ordered to search for the traces of Ryder and others. Zhen sat in Ryder's car, hugged Harrow, looked at the 3 people in front of him, showed his driving skills, and roast, are you quick to accept this? Alexis replied, there's nothing we can do. We can't leave them there. After much thought, let's keep them. What exactly is your reason? Zhen said. As their car crossed a hill, Megatron happened to be on that hill. The 3 of them were immediately shocked and drove forward desperately. I want to use this to escape Megatron's pursuit. Find an opportunity to get rid of him, I'm ready to fight against them, Zhen said. In front of them, a car suddenly appeared and 2 planes appeared in the sky. It's over, it's about to be over, Carlos shouted. Just as they were about to be cornered, a truck knocked Megatron over to the ground. Alexis saw the Autobot sign on the car and called for others to board. The destroyer blocked Optimus Prime in the front, and Optimus Prime unleashed all his firepower and ran over him. After staying in the distance, Optimus Prime released the humans on his body. Zhen slid the bracelet towards Ning Angel and said, so please watch my battle. Ning Angel slid down from the sky and came to the driver's cabin wearing a combat suit. He placed Harrow in his own position. Let Harrow observe the enemy's movements and focus solely on dealing with Megatron. Zhen drives the Ning Angel in the distance to use the GN Fire God Cannon to relax Megatron's movements, and then uses the GN Short Sword to swing Megatron up close. In the distance, several shells hit the Ning Angel. Zhen immediately blocked the shells with a GN shield, and the sun furnace sprayed out GN particles, allowing the Ning Angel to quickly fly into the air. With a GN Short Sword, she chopped off the Fury and the Red Spider. Then he returned to the ground and, relying on the collective speed, constantly played with the Decepticons. Seeing other Autobots on the battlefield, Zhen drove the Ning Angel to Ryder and said, they should be able to defeat the Decepticons. I will temporarily protect your safety. Optimus Prime and the carriage spoke in a righteous tone, Megatron, your end has come. The Red Spider and Fury flew from the land back into the air, firing shells in the air to interfere with the Autobots. Megatron took advantage of the single interference in the air and fired shells at humans. As the shells were about to hit Ryder, a huge shield blocked the shell. Red's heart finally fell when he saw the Angel blocking the hanging shells. Megatron saw that his attack was ineffective, so he teamed up with King Reed to increase the power of the shells. Then he charged up and fired the shell, and the recoil of the shell made him fall backwards. The shell did not hit Optimus Prime, but instead hit the hillside. Huh, he missed the shot, Carlos sneered. And Red said with concern, that King Kong has made Megatron's shells even stronger. Can we really defeat him? Otherwise, Yi Zhen, you don't have to worry about us. Let's go to battle. Don't worry, there's nothing unexpected with me. Harrow will target Megatron. With the help of Harrow, we won't let Yi Zhen's GN fire god cannons miss people. After witnessing the power of the shell, Megatron fell into a frenzy and frantically fired shells around. The shells kept hitting the hillside, and the hillside couldn't withstand the impact, forming a mudslide. Yi Zhen immediately drove Ning Angel to protect Ryder and others. After the soil on Ning Angel's body dispersed, Alexis discovered the position of the mini diamond in Ning Angel's hand. So he took the angel to collect the mini King Kong. After collecting the mini King Kong, he handed it over to the Blaze and Red Alert. The horn of counterattack officially sounded, and the Blaze and Red Alert combined with the mini King Kong, continuously firing shells at the Decepticons. Yi Zhen drove the GN short sword in the hand of Ning Angel and threw it towards the destroyer, successfully stabbing the destroyer's right arm. The destroyer had to leave the battlefield first. Megatron knew he was falling behind and immediately ordered the Decepticons to retreat. Chapter 3. Reasons for Coming to Earth. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After defeating the Decepticons, Yi Zhen drove Ning Angel to retrieve the short sword and then left the cab. Autobots invite them to the Autobots base. Quan Biao took the opportunity to pick up the leak and brought back the two mini-Vitras that Ryder had not noticed to the Decepticon base. Megatron already knows that you have information about Mini King Kong, so he will definitely come to find you. Optimus Prime said to Ryder. Why did he come to find us? We just happened to discover the Mini King Kong, and everything was because of me, Carlos, and Zhen. While exploring the cave, they accidentally woke up the Mini King Kong, and then the entire spaceship sent signals to the universe. Ryder said. It was because of that signal that we came to Earth, and our goal was to prevent the Decepticons from stealing the Mini King Kong, Optimus Prime replied. Alexis said as soon as their conversation ended, then let me introduce myself. I'm Alexis, and next to me are Ryder, Carlos, and Zhen. The robot you see is driven by Zhen. Zhen didn't care about Alexis exposing this matter, so she touched Harrow and said, that's right, I'm the Gundam driver. Then Zhen slid the bracelet and summoned the Ning Angel. The Autobots were shocked that Earthlings could create such massive robots, but he didn't ask too much where Zhen's mobile warriors came from. So let me introduce two other Autobots, they are Blaze and Red Alert. You guys are really cool, and you can also transform, so what's going on with the Mini King Kong? Why can the combination of Megatron and Mini King Kong unleash powerful power? Carlos said. You're right, the Mini King Kong is a weapon of war, and whoever obtains it can win the war. My goal is to prevent the Decepticons from plundering the Mini King Kong. To prevent the flames of war from spreading to Earth, Optimus Prime replied. So why on Earth are you collecting mini diamonds? Are you looking for victory in war? Lade asked. No, our ultimate goal is to send the Mini King Kong to a distant planet in case they are discovered by the Decepticons. As the conversation between Ryder and Optimus Prime came to an end, they also welcomed their first mission. Their goal for this mission is to search for a mini diamond in the desert, and once they reach the desert through a land bridge. Ryder and Alexis are paired with Slam Shot, Carlos, Nightfall and Red Alert are paired, and Mini King Kong and Optimus Prime are paired. They began searching for mini diamonds in this Grand Canyon. With the help of the laser bird, Ryder quickly found the location of the Mini King Kong. The Mini King Kong was surrounded by rock layers, and Ryder noticed that Optimus Prime was very close to him. He then used the laser bird to inform Optimus Prime of this news. Decepticons, who are far away on the moon, have internal conflicts. Red Spider wants to fight the destroyer alone due to the lack of Mini Kong. Although he successfully defeated the destroyer, his behavior was criticized by Megatron. He believes that Red Spider should focus on collecting Mini Kong instead of consuming them internally. On the other hand, as Carlos and the Red Alert were looking for a different route to find the mini King Kong, both sides had a dispute. At this point, Zhen said, "Carlos, Ryder and the others have found the location of the mini King Kong. Please find a place to put me down first, and I will drive the Gundam to the destination first." "No problem," Carlos said confidently, and suddenly an energy shell hit the stone wall next to them. The red alarm turned sideways and dodged the stone that had been hit by the shell. "I'll find an opportunity to let you two go, and then Zhen will take Carlos away." "Understood." After finding a suitable opportunity, the red alarm maximized the horsepower and fiercely threw the destroyer behind. Then, they found cover to put the two down and went to stop the destroyer. Zhen summoned the Ning Angel and drove him to grab Carlos in his hand, emitting green particles behind him, constantly moving towards his destination. On Ryder's side, he was entangled by the raging winds, while the shootout was trapped by the stones thrown by the winds. The remaining two people next to him got off the car to their destination, and when he didn't notice the raging winds, he was shot down with a single shot. Optimus Prime arrived at his destination first, and after exploring around for a while, he was suddenly hit by a shell from Megatron. In order to protect the safety of the mini King Kong behind him, he had to passively defend and seek opportunities to fire a few shells. However, Optimus Prime underestimated the ability of Megatron to combine with King Reed. Megatron charged up his cannons, and with just a few glowing bullets, he crippled Optimus Prime and pressed him step by step. Just as he was about to give Optimus Prime his final blow, a shield fell from the sky, blocking him in front. After setting Carlos up, Zhen had Hero aim at his destination and threw the shield with all his might, driving himself to the maximum and reaching Optimus Prime. "Fortunately, I didn't come too late. Let's leave it to me." Zhen drove the Ning Angel to thrust forward and attacked Megatron with the GN long sword. Seeing Megatron blocking his own strike, he threw the GN dagger out, but was blocked by the sudden appearance of the Red Spider. And behind him, Optimus Prime awakened the Mini King and discovered that it was the Mini King who had previously helped him, facilitating spark plug fusion, and the horn of counterattack officially sounded. Trans-AM, start. Then the green particles on the Ning Angel's body are transformed into red particles. "We'll solve you in the next 3 minutes." The Ning Angel's propulsion and defense abilities have increased by 3 times, and the export hotspots and red spiders are in a very awkward situation when the Ning Angel is flashing back and forth. They couldn't even catch the figure of that angel. Although the Ning Angel was right in front of him, he suddenly attacked him from the side, and then suddenly flew directly from behind with the GN long sword. Seeing that the situation was not good, Megatron wanted to struggle, but was hit by Optimus Prime's combined light bullet and Ning Angel's beam bullet, so he had to order a retreat. After bringing the mini King Kong back to the base, Zhen asked Optimus Prime, "Can I temporarily reside here? It would be convenient for me to complete the mission." Optimus Prime initially disagreed, but couldn't resist Zhen's persistent struggle, so he had to agree. And the system also gave Zhen rewards for this mission. A reduced version of the GN long sword, which is used by humans, which can cut off small robots, and a simulation room specifically trained in firearms and combat. Chapter 4. It's time for the Red Alarm Core plug. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Set up Angel Weapons. GN Long Sword, GN Slayer Sword, GN Short Sword, GN Beam Saber and Short Sword, GN Shield and Vulcan Cannon. In addition, Trans-AM is a mode that allows compressed particles to fully erupt, improving propulsion and defense capabilities. On the contrary, it will significantly consume GN particles and have a short duration. The other two will be set when they appear after obtaining a reduced version of the GN long sword. Zhen began practicing swordsmanship in the training space. Countless swings made Zhen's arms sore, and she then withdrew from the training space. When Zhen was puzzled as to why there was no one at the base, there were rumors in the hallway that Ryder and others were driving a mini King Kong and Slash in a chase game. The Red Alarm looked at them with a headache and said, it's time for you to stop and shoot. You should have completed your task. I've been helping you for 2 hours now. Red alert, I'm not in the mood to argue with you right now. I'll finish the work and don't need you to worry. Optimus Prime walked over and asked, what happened? It's okay, it's just a chat, nothing happened, explained Blaze in a panic. Beside him, Zhen and Ryder followed Optimus Prime to the control center. Alexis noticed the GN long sword that Zhen was carrying and asked, why do you have to carry a long sword, Zhen? I'm practicing the sword-wielding technique for driving the Gundam. Alexis didn't think much. She thought this reason was unreasonable, but it was difficult to say anything. Do you think the red alert is a bit strange today? Lade asked, no, after all, the red alert has been responsible for most of the base's tasks. It's normal to feel a little emotional when you see that you're not helping but causing trouble instead. Zhen replied. After their conversation, the alarm at the base sounded and their positioning system discovered a mini diamond in Antarctica. They arrived at the South Pole through a land bridge, and Red and the others were in the driver's cabin, watching the scenery of the South Pole. But after they traveled a section of the route, they stopped again. After Optimus Prime unloaded the carriage, Ryder was surprised to find that it had turned into a small command center with some small platforms built on it. The red alarm indicates that the malfunction on Optimus Prime has been repaired. He felt that Megatron might be the first to get the mini King Kong. So he didn't urge the red alarm to be repaired quickly. I'll go ask them when they're leaving first, Ryder said. As Red ran towards the Autobots, the others followed suit. After receiving an accurate response, Carlos was ready to depart. However, before departure, he complained about the delay caused by the shootout, and Carlos immediately decided to team up with him. I feel that his emotional state is a bit unstable, so to prevent accidents, I followed behind them. The Night-Chin Cannon Angel summoned him and asked Ryder to use a laser bird to send him the location of the laser, then piloted the Cannon Angel to fly into the air at full speed. The Red Spider, on the other hand, watched as everyone else had the mini King Kong, but he had not yet. He frantically searched for the mini King Kong on the glacier, constantly chopping it with his sword in order to find its trace. Coincidentally, when he discovered the mini King Kong, he also saw the Slash and launched an attack on the Slash. In front of him was a huge cliff, and he had the mini King Kong take him off the cliff and bring him to the shore. Behind them, the Decepticons saw the light shining from the mini King Kong and approached him. Squeezing in conjunction with the mini King Kong, unleash your full power and knock off the Red Spider. The support from the Decepticons also arrived here, firing shells at the shootout, which had to flee in all directions. The Frenzy followed him closely in the light. As he was fleeing, he accidentally opened the car door and threw Carlos out. Fortunately, with the help of the mini King Kong, Carlos landed safely, while the rapid fire faced the shells fired by the Decepticons. After discovering the trail of the rapid fire, Zhen saw that he was being attacked by a dense barrage of shells. He fell from the air and used a shield to block the shells. The Decepticons dispersed and specifically targeted the gaps in the shield to attack. Give you control of this shield, I'll fight back. Angel can use the GN Sword light gun mode to launch light bullets for counterattacks. The Red Alarm was observing the battle situation near them, and he took advantage of the situation that the Decepticons were not in charge of the rear, and then fired shells from behind, catching the Decepticons off guard. After seeing the Decepticons unleashing their firepower, Zhen activated Trans. AM. 10 minutes to solve you. Angel's solar energy emitted red particles and quickly approached Megatron, using its GN long sword to strike. But it was taken over by Megatron's sky. So how do you deal with this? The beam particles covered the GN sword, and Megatron saw that the situation was not good. The muzzle on his body was aimed at Ning Angel to launch shells, and Ning Angel kept pushing to the right, avoiding the shells and wielding a knife to cut into Megatron. The barrel of Megatron's gun was cut off by the GN sword. After adjusting his own malfunction, Optimus Prime slid down a nearby snowy slope and fired at the Decepticons. He was able to throw a beam dagger from an angel and hit it wildly, then electrocuted it. Megatron saw the Decepticons falling one after another and ordered them to withdraw to the base. He urgently needed to repair the barrel on his body. The Red Spider continued to attack the glacier and discovered the mini King Kong inside. When he retrieved the mini King Kong, it was taken away by the Red Alert's mechanical hook claw. Red Spider gas continuously attacks the glacier. After returning to the base, the shootout apologized to the Red Alert. He should not have ignored the command during the operation, and the Red Alert chose to cool him down. They only go to see the mini models that have not been awakened. Why hasn't this mini diamond awakened yet? Lade asked. Maybe he needs something specific to awaken, such as a wire rope that can combine the other two dense diamonds, and he may also need the other two mini diamonds. Zhen replied. I hope those two names are not in the hands of the Decepticons, said Alexis. Chapter 5. Xiaohong finally has a mini King Kong. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Decepticons on the moon are simulating a battle with the Autobots. Mr. Red Spider attracts the vitality of the Autobots to the Rampage and Destroyer, and takes the opportunity to ambush him. However, when his intention is discovered by Optimus Prime, he is directly bombarded by Optimus Prime. Megatron exclaimed angrily upon seeing this scene, this kind of military exercise is really embarrassing to me. Red Spider replied, if it weren't for the other two people not covering me, I would have succeeded. I see you can't beat this data because you don't have a mini Kong, said Kwai Biao sarcastically, and even revealed your own mini Kong. Red Spider said to Megatron, Boss, can you give me the next mini Kong? I will definitely use the mini Kong to complete the mission better. Megatron received a signal from Earth's mini Kong and asked others to go to Earth. Zhen started exercising her body in the simulation space. After exercising well, she piloted the Ning Angel to practice marksmanship with the GN cannon in the simulation space, and began practicing the Unicorn Gundam. And Ryder and others returned to the Autobots base with some adventure gear. The location where the mini King Kong appeared this time was in the forest, and they arrived at the forest through a land bridge. At the beginning, the shootout was still complaining that too many trees were blocking their footsteps. He had intended to cut off all these trees, but was stopped by Red, but Carlos was on a road without any trees. All the trees on this road have been cut down, and it is also a road leading to the mini diamond. Watching the cut down trees, Red fell into contemplation. On the car, Ryder began to educate on the importance of trees. Cutting down trees indiscriminately can destroy our planet, but at the same time, trees and botanical gardens produce the oxygen people need. They can absorb carbon dioxide from the air and slow down global warming. If global warming is severe, they will no longer adapt to human life. The science popularization session has come to an end. While searching for the mini diamond, a tree suddenly fell, completely blocking the path. The machine that chopped down that tree was the Destroyer. As the Decepticons engage in battle with the Autobots, Zhen summons the unicorn and drives it. And through internal signals, he explained to others that this was his own body. The unicorn advanced and swung its beam saber at the Destroyer. The Destroyer knew that the knife that emitted particles must not be carried hard, and constantly tested and dodged. Unicorn set weapons. Light speed saber, beam Merlin gun, beam Gatling, high power beam gun. Shield, destroy mode. After activating this form, the unicorn mask opens and its body changes, revealing an eerie red light on the spirit sensing bracket. The spirit bracket can easily penetrate the enemy's defense system, and its height has increased from 19.7 to 21.7 meters. The shells fired by the Decepticons ignited the entire forest, and Optimus Prime didn't know that the other two people were helping Ryder extinguish the fire. After all, if the Mini King was gone, they could fight again. If the forest was gone, it would really be gone. Then I'll stop the Decepticons from grabbing the mini King Kong, and you guys put out the fire here. Then the unicorn followed the Decepticons, although with the help of the thrusters, I really want to say that the unicorn's flying ability is weak under the influence of gravity. Optimus Prime had the spark plug bring the carriage over and transformed it into a fire extinguisher, drawing water from the stream and then spraying it out to achieve the purpose of extinguishing the fire. "Boss, just give me that mini diamond," Red Spider pleaded with Megatron. "I'm sorry, this is mine. I want to use it to enhance my combat effectiveness," Megatron replied. The rejected Red Spider was very angry and wanted to take down the mini King Kong while Megatron was fighting against the Autobots. The destroyer fired shells at the tree locked in the mini diamond, but was blocked by a unicorn shield. From then on, a great war between the two sides was imminent. The unicorn stood in front of Megatron and saw him constantly firing shells at him. He took out a high-output beam gun and aimed it at Harrow, then a huge particle-shaped wave hit the Decepticon in front of him. Megatron immediately dispersed the others, and after the others dispersed, a huge pit was created where the unicorn attacked. Zhen saw the immense power of the high-output beam gun and withdrew it. We had to switch to using beam knives for combat. The unicorn was ambushed by the destroyer during a close combat with Megatron, and was also caught and discharged by the Fury, electrocuting the internal driver. "Bastards! I want to kill you." Zhen's emotions gradually rose, and his spirit resonated with the unicorn. Subsequently, the unicorn activated Datary mode, and the powerful aura during armor burst made it difficult for the Decepticons to resist. At this moment, the Autobots extinguished the fire and came over to support the Decepticons. They saw the unicorn in the center of the Decepticons and believed that the unicorn had been captured, so they crazily fired at the Decepticons. The Decepticons suffered unbearable pain from being beaten for a moment. The Red Spider took the opportunity to fly to the middle of the tree, cut it open with a knife, took out the mini diamond inside the tree, and combined with the mini diamond, firing laser cannons towards the center of the battlefield. After the light dissipated, the unicorn held up its shield and stood in the center. The unicorn pushed forward to control its approach, using its beam sword to swing towards the Red Spider. Fortunately, the Red Spider knew that in close combat with the mysterious robot, it could not be cut by the sword, so it dodged around. During the evasive process, Zhen fired another shell. He piloted a unicorn and took out a beam of green machine gun to shoot at the Red Spider. Megatron saw that the mini King Kong had already been snatched, so he quickly instructed the people under his command to evacuate. The unicorn lost control after the Decepticons left. He aimed his gun at the Autobots and discovered 2 light bullets. After Zhen's emotions gradually stabilized, the unicorn changed from destruction mode to normal state. Zhen retrieved the unicorn and explained the situation to the Autobots. "Make sure this situation doesn't happen again next time, no wonder." Then he began counting what the system had brought him after this mission. He obtained templates for the floating cannon and floating shield, as well as small floating cannons and shields that could be controlled without driving Gundam. He gave the floating cannon and floating shield to the Quantum 00, after all, his flying ability on Earth is stronger than that of unicorns. The following is a skipped plot. In the next 2 missions, the laser was exposed in the sight of Billy and Fred, who were tracking Zhen and others, and they also arrived at the base of the car. At first, they believed that extraterrestrial creatures invading Earth were bad, but he had learned about Autobots and they had also helped him at the time. After experiencing some ideological struggles, he still chose to believe in Autobots. On another mission, the destroyer discovered the mini King Kong during a battle with the Autobots and brought it back to the base. The next one should appear at 00. Chapter 6. 00 Creating Brilliance Again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After receiving help from the Autobots, Billy and Fred discussed about the Autobots under a big tree in the distance. Fred believed that the Autobots had no ill intentions, while Billy boldly speculated that the Autobots had come to Earth to occupy it. But aren't those robots also helping us? Why do you think they will invade Earth? Fred asked. This must be their disguise, making us think they are good and then taking advantage of the opportunity to occupy Earth. When Billy was talking to Fred, he saw that Red was heading to the car base. He greeted Fred and followed him to follow him. They saw the true face of the Autobots. But when Ryder went to the Autobots' base, a fierce storm appeared in front of them. Megatron asked him to catch these humans and then negotiated with Optimus Prime. At that time, no matter how hard Ryder caught him, he couldn't catch Ryder, but he found Billy and Fred following behind Ryder. Quan Biao relentlessly caught them and used them to blackmail Optimus Prime, and asked Ryder to convey to him the destination of their battle. When the Raptor knew that Raptor was using humans to threaten them, he punched the walls of the base and gritted his teeth, saying, "Raptor can do anything. He actually used humans to threaten us." After determining the location, Optimus Prime and the others crossed the land bridge to their destination. Yizhen drove the 00 to observe the situation in the sky, and the equipment of the Zero lift wing was only controlled by Hero to follow the 00. Setting. The weapon is the same as the Ning Angel, but with the addition of a floating cannon, floating shield, and Zero lift wings. The 00 has 2 solar ovens and its propulsion ability is faster than the Ning Angel. Billy Fred was searching for a way out in an old warehouse when a large iron block suddenly fell off BB's head. Fortunately, he reacted in time and dodged it, asking them to look up and discover King Reed. Due to King Reed's surveillance, they were unable to do anything. Autobots and Ryder and others acted separately, with Ryder leading the other 2 to bring Billy and Fred out, while Autobots were responsible for restraining the Decepticons. Fred caught the attention of King Reed, while Billy took the opportunity to attack him. However, King Reed suddenly fired a beam of light, piercing through the house above his head, and the 2 dared not act recklessly. "If the other 2 humans have problems, you will have an unforgivable sin," said Blaze. "If you don't want those 2 humans to have problems, it's best for you to hand over the mini diamond in your hand," threatened Blaze. The Autobots saw the light bullets fired by King Reed and concluded that the hostages were there. However, the Decepticons were tightly guarded, and the Autobots had to first defeat the Decepticons before rescuing them. The war between the 2 sides was imminent. Raging towards the burst of light, the burst had to find cover to counterattack, unable to counterattack in the dense barrel. Immediately after the Red Spider and Destroyer were knocked down by Optimus Prime and the Red Alert, they discovered Megatron in a warehouse. After Megatron walked out of the warehouse, he had Ryder and others in his hands, constantly discharging electric shocks to them. During his outburst, Quan Biao was shot and hit by a fierce attacker, flying into the sky. With a punch, he fell to the ground and entered a state of suspension. "Stand still, otherwise I'll crush your friends," Megatron threatened. Megatron released those children. "This has nothing to do with them. If you release those children, I will give you all the mini diamonds in our hands," said Optimus Prime. "Okay, I agree to this transaction," replied Megatron. Trans-AM is activated, equipped with Zero lift wings. The Zero lift wings are mounted behind 00, emitting a red particle light from Ott's body. Then, a floating cannon is fired at Megatron, generating an electronic field. A huge 00 suddenly appeared in front of Megatron, and then 00 punched Megatron in the face. And the electronic field shocked Megatron, and 00 snatched the human back from Megatron's hands. It seems that the current situation has reversed. Ott's speed was really too fast, and 00 stayed in the clouds without showing up, which made Megatron think that the robot would not appear again. "What exactly is this guy?" shouted the Destroyer. "I am just a passing Gundam driver. Please remember the name of this Gundam and I will name it 00. Yizhen took the person in his hand to a safe place and joined the battle. 00 relied on its propulsion to move through the battlefield, and combined with its weapons, dealt substantial damage to the Decepticons. Although sometimes it is still predicted by Megatron, can he predict the quantization of 00? Megatron joined forces with King Reed, and the power of the shells he fired increased. However, he found that he could hardly reach 00. Every time he was about to attack him, his body suddenly disappeared, and then appeared behind him, unable to attack at all. I have caught you. 00 aimed the floating cannon at all the Decepticons present, and then a strong electric current formed, electrocuting the Decepticons. Megatron saw that his plan had failed and the Decepticons were being suppressed so badly, so he had to order a retreat. After the war, Zhen walked out of the driver's cab and spat acid water all over the ground. It was really satisfying to pretend, but the speed was too fast. It seemed like it took some time to adapt, said Red, standing aside and handing Zhen a tissue. Thank you. After adjusting her state, Zhen took back the 00. After Ryder explained the purpose of the Autobots to Sean, Billy and Fred, they also joined the Autobots camp. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Morning Witch. The advancement ability of all Gundam forms has been increased by 5%, and the beam attack ability has been increased by 5%. Later, Zhen checked the Morning Witch in the bracelet. Chapter 7. The Arrival of Smoke Screen. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I don't want to do it anymore, there's no point in continuing like this. Compared to excavation work, I want to fight the Decepticons more, complained the Laser, as the Red Alert and Laser were conducting excavation work below the base. Coincidentally, the alarm in the base sounded, and the signals for the mini diamond came from the ocean and the city respectively. And the signal from the ocean transformed into a projection, the content of which was to help their city overcome this crisis, and then the projection disappeared. It seems that we need to split up this time. The three of you and the Autobots are going to the city to search for the mini King Kong, while I am going to search for the mini King Kong at the bottom of the sea. However, I can only determine his approximate location. The signal of the mini King Kong is too weak. After you take the mini King Kong from the city, come and help me. Zhen summoned the capable angel to the ocean through the land bridge, and the Autobots and Ryder arrived at the city through the land bridge. They turned into vehicle mode and searched for the mini King Kong in a tunnel, but suddenly a train appeared in front of them. It shouldn't be, hasn't this tunnel been abandoned for a long time? Alexis anxiously said, and Optimus Prime tried his best to retreat backwards. After changing the track, he escaped this crisis. The three people in the car breathed a sigh of relief. The Ryder trio separated from the Autobots and searched for the mini King Kong in a narrow tunnel. They stumbled upon a secret door and, through that button, arrived at an open space, with the mini King Kong above them. After they had to take off the mini diamond embedded in the wall, they found a car not far away following them. They were driving their own mini diamonds to escape, but the car still followed them relentlessly. The Decepticons detected the signal of the mini King Kong and released their own mini King Kong to pursue the three of them. They met on an abandoned train, with Decepticons in front of them and a car behind them. They kept flipping through the windows and arrived at a mine. They made some adjustments in this mine and looked around to see if there was any way out, but the cave entrance caused a violent vibration. Megatron, along with the Decepticons, pierced through a large hole in the cave and turned it into a vehicle and walked in. After sensing the vibration of the tunnel, the Autobots searched for Ryder through the laser bird. If you hand over the 4 mini diamonds in your hands to me, I will consider letting you go. Then, Megatron gradually pressured the 3 of Ryder. At first, Ryder wanted to delay time, but the car turned into a robot and fought against Megatron. The Decepticons next to Megatron also joined their battle, rushing towards the top of the Ryder trio and firing shells. The explosion caused by the shells destroyed the rock wall, and the stones fell from above Ryder. The robot protected the Ryder trio to death. And the yet-to-awaken mini diamond flew out of Ryder's hand due to the impact of the vibration. Coincidentally, it was picked up by the raging wind. The Autobots who arrived on the battlefield searched for the Ryder trio among the stones, but fortunately, with the robot guarding them, the trio did not suffer much damage. Ryder learned that the robot was the smoke screen of the Autobots' camp, and then received news from Zhen. Everyone arrived at the area where Zhen was located through the land bridge. On the other side, the Night Zhen driver's license allows Angel Ning to search for a way to enter the ruins in the sea, and he sees that Red Spider is also searching for that ruins. Angel Ning skillfully attacks Red Spider with 5 swords in his hand, and Red Spider spear Angel Ning will make a cut, blocked by Angel Ning's shield. The Angel was able to block the attack of the Red Spider with a shield while attacking it with a GN cannon. Goodbye. Then, the GN cannon in his hand fired a light bullet and hit the Red Spider, causing it to fall to the deepest part of the sea. After the Angel shattered the stone gate in front of him, he left Gundam and hid near the stone gate. When the Red Spider fell deep into the sea, it returned to the base of the Decepticons through the corner of the land and began to heal its injuries. Upon returning, Megatron saw that the Red Spider was healing, so he let the destroyer follow him in a frenzy to snatch the mini King Kong from the seabed. The Autobots and Decepticons met at the same time, and they engaged in a fierce struggle. Zhen brought the Rider trio into the ruins from near the stone gate. They saw the projected image in front of them, and the girl in the image explained why her city was destroyed. They were extremely dissatisfied with other cities in the surrounding area due to excessive use of the power of the mini King Kong, and then people from other cities joined forces to attack them, and they were thus destroyed. The girl in the image reminds Zhen and the other four not to overuse the abilities of the mini King Kong and not to use the mini King Kong to do anything outrageous. She also reminds them that after taking away the mini King Kong from this city, the city's defense measures will collapse and they will be submerged by the flood. Zhen summoned the unicorn, and immediately the unicorn entered destruction mode. The red spiritual support on its body controlled the defense measures of the entire ruins. Hurry up. Take the mini diamond away now, Zhen said anxiously. And the incoming Megatron and Optimus Prime completely destroyed everything in the ruins, and Megatron discovered the mini King Kong. Fortunately, Optimus Prime stopped Megatron, and then led and the 3 of them took the mini King Kong. Zhen piloted a unicorn and gently grabbed the 3 of them in his hands. Then, with full power, he took them out of the water and slowly began flying in the sky. Megatron knew he couldn't snatch the mini King and ordered the other Decepticons to evacuate and return to their base. After returning to the base, Ryder asked Optimus Prime, "If you win this war, what will you do with these mini diamonds?" "I will send someone to escort these mini kings with a warship and place them in the most secluded place in the universe, so that they can live there well," Optimus Prime replied. After receiving a response, Ryder made up his mind to tell Optimus Prime the news he had received in the projection. Ryder introduced the smoke screen to Zhen, and then went to find Optimus Prime. He learned the secret of the 2 mini Vajras from others. The reason why the 2 mini kings in our hands are still asleep is that one of them is in the hands of the Decepticons. After gathering the 3 of them, they will form a powerful sword, which is what the projected girl told me. So it seems that if the Decepticons also know about this, they will most likely invade our base and take away these 2 mini kings. We need to take defensive measures, Zhen reminded. Subsequently, the Autobots began to modify the defense measures in the base, while Zhen counted the rewards brought by this system. His choice was to expand the space of the Zero-Lift Wing. When the time comes, let the Rider trio pilot the Zero-Lift Wing, so there's no need to worry about their safety. Chapter 8. Home Stolen. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After strengthening the security facilities at the base, Zhen handed over the driver's manual to Ryder and began teaching him how to operate the Zero-Lift Wing. Then Zhen went out to carry out the mission. The Autobots did not participate in this mission because they had to guard against the invasion of the base by the Decepticons, so Optimus Prime asked Zhen to search for the mini King Kong alone. After reading the driver's manual in his hand, Red invited Billy and Fred to the Autobots' base. They first marveled at the strength of the base, and then began to operate some of the facilities in the base. The alarm in the base sounded, and the three of them left Billy and Fred to go to the command center to see what had happened. The Decepticons used the still-awakened Mini-King to guess that this Mini-King needed the other two to awaken, so they asked King Riddle to establish contact with the still-awakened Mini-King in the Autobots base, exposing the Autobots base. But Megatron didn't expect to be discovered as soon as they arrived at the bus station base and even attacked by the turrets built by Zhen. However, the power of these shells was not very great, and the three turrets of the gate were not so flexible. They easily destroyed these turrets. Billy and Fred saw the Decepticons at the corner, and they were so scared that they hid in a nearby box. Megatron noticed that the mini diamond in his hand was abnormal. After a burst of white light, the mini diamond in his hand woke up and led Megatron to find his still-awakened companion. The Decepticons are advancing towards the command center of the Autobots. The Autobots are discussing countermeasures. Megatron's goal is to take away these two mini diamonds, and we should first hide these two mini diamonds, suggested the Red Alert. I don't want to hide and seek here, I let them know that breaking into our base won't have a good ending. Then, the Fierce Shot went to search for the Decepticons and fought with them. Red told Optimus Prime that they wanted Chong, Billy and Fred to leave the battlefield, and then Optimus Prime went to the battlefield. We will not be lenient in dealing with illegal intrusions. It's best for you to get out of here right now, said Blaze to the Decepticons. If you have enough courage, just give it a try, Wei Zhentian said with a smile. Shooting forward at Megatron, Megatron dodged the pincers on his head and suddenly retracted, shooting into the air. Megatron sneered, your logic circuit must be chaotic, you think you can compete with me. Megatron heard Optimus Prime's words and threw the catapult aside, turning his head to face him. Tell me, where are those two minions of Optimus Prime? The Red Alert opened all the traps here while Megatron was not paying attention. Led the others to the secret room. The Decepticons dispersed to search for the Autobots. Boundary line. The mini diamond that Zhen was searching for was in a deserted small mountain village. Zhen drove 00 aimlessly in the sky, searching for the mini diamond. Suddenly, dense light bullets appeared in front of Zhen. Zhen 00 used a floating shield to block all these light bullets. The battle scene is brought to Gundam 00 through the GN blade towards the enemy in front of him. After the enemy dodged the GN blade, he converted to a vehicle to escape the scene. Zhen asked Harrow to take a photo of the fleeing enemy and drove 00 to a steep place. After removing the mini diamond inside, Zhen found himself unable to connect with the base. Fortunately, Zhen remembered the location of the base and drove 00 back to the base. The smoke screen, while the destroyer was about to destroy all the gates of the base, threw a pan and tied him up. The Red Spider saw the red alarm holding the Transformers to attract him, so he swung his sword over, only to find that what he had swung was a piece of glass. He turned his head and saw the Red Alert standing on the side, taking away the mini King Kong. The Red Spider pounced directly at the Red Alert, but shattered the glass and fell into an abyss. The Red Alarm, on the other hand, was slowly identified from an angle. This mini diamond is fake. The Red Alarm threw the fake mini diamond down. As soon as 00 returned to the base, he saw Quang Biao trying to catch the three of Ryder. As Ryder was about to be caught, he stabbed Quang Biao with a knife and kicked him out. Then he asked Ryder to open the land bridge, and 00 kicked the hurricane into it, transmitting it to the South Pole. You're not injured, are you? Zhen said. No, the base has been invaded by the Decepticons. His goal is to have the two awakened mini-kings. The mini-kings are on Optimus Prime. You go support Optimus Prime first, and we'll help the others, said Alexis. Okay, activate Terrans. AM. 00 turned into a red flash, searching for the trail of Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime and Lasso were forced into a dead end by Megatron. You have nowhere to escape. Why do you think I'll let her escape? The shockwave kicked Megatron into the electric fence, and Megatron was electrocuted by the power grid. The end of Megatron, hand over your mini diamond and immediately get lost. Megatron grinned and said, I won't be hindered by this difficulty. I want to blow up you and this place. Then he went crazy and fired light bombs around him. After being hit by a light bullet, the laser shot. Megatron detached from the power grid and grabbed the laser, saying, hand over the mini diamond in your hand, and I will release it. Optimus Prime threw out the mini diamond in his hand, and the sonar awakened the other 2 mini diamonds. The 3 of them formed the Star Sword, which was held by Megatron. A red figure suddenly appeared in front of him. Megatron was then punched back and the Star Sword in his hand was taken by 00. 00 grabbed a sword flower with the Star Sword and threw it to the slam shot. Megatron unleashed a frenzy of light bullets, making it difficult for the slam shot to withstand with the Star Sword. I suddenly felt that giving him the Star Sword was a mistake, Zhen whispered. The muzzle on Megatron's body was aimed at them, and as they fired, the floating shield blocked them and fired all the shells towards them. In an instant, he arrived in front of Megatron and used a beam of military knives to break Megatron's tracks. Megatron said grimly, I will never forget you, wait for me. Then he crossed the space bridge and returned to the base. After the war, Optimus Prime let / take control of the Star Sword. Optimus Prime, are you serious? With his current combat experience, it's too easy to set traps. Are you sure you really want him to use this sword? I think it's better for you to hold the Star Sword, Zhen questioned. Although Optimus Prime and the Red Alert were aware of the character of the assault, they could not resist the plea of the nearby carbon-based group. In the end, the minority obeyed the majority, and the Star Sword was handed over to the assault. When Zhen left the meeting, he began to strengthen the cockpit of Gundam. The current Gundam defense is good, but Zhen relies too much on propulsion, so he decided to strengthen the overall defense of Gundam in order to avoid using other external weapons to confront Megatron. Chapter 9. Spy Appearing. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. In a quiet valley, the Autobots were competing with the Decepticons for the Mini King Kong. Just as the Red Spider was about to grab the Mini King Kong, the Slam Shooter and Striker teamed up to use the Star Sword to chop the Red Spider down from the sky. Shoot the smoke screen to get the Mini King Kong, and have fun with the Star Sword and the Decepticons. The fierce shot stabbed the Red Spider with a sword, but the Red Spider couldn't dodge and his arm was torn open. The Red Spider used its sword to resist the onslaught, and its sword was cut off by the onslaught. The destroyer originally intended to help the Red Spider, but the barrel on his body aimed at the burst fire. The rapid fire dodged the attack of the shells and flew forward to cut off the barrel of the destroyer. Are we all closed? Damn the sword, we failed. Megatron gritted his teeth and was then pinned down by Optimus Prime. After failing to gain an advantage in the battle with the Autobots, Megatron ordered the Decepticons to evacuate. Run, you run quickly. I, who possesses the Star Sword, cannot be defeated by you, said Slash. After the smoke screen awakened the Mini King Kong, he returned to the base with the others. Slash kept boasting about how he managed to drive away the Decepticons alone. With the Star Sword, Slash muttered to himself, is it really safe to give him this sword? Forget it, I should have been overthinking. Zhen walked straight to Ryder and the others, and began to enjoy the dessert bought by Alexis. After returning to the Decepticon base, Red Spider began repairing his hand injuries on his own. This battle was an unprecedented failure, Megatron scolded the people under his command. If it weren't for the Starry Sword on the other side, we could have crushed them all, retorted Furious. Why don't we set a trap to snatch back the Starry Sword from the shooter's hand? Now we have no choice but to pray for that silly guy to enter us and fall into the trap, Megatron said. But this approach is equivalent to suicide. The 3 mysterious robots have already given us a headache. With the Autobots having the Star Sword, we rashly enter the car base, which is equivalent to surrender. The destroyer said as he sorted out his gun barrel. At this moment, An unwelcome guest arrived at the base of the Decepticons, and as soon as he arrived, he began to mock all members of the Decepticons. It seems like you are surrounded by incompetent people, Megatron. Then he walked out of the darkness. Megatron saw that the person who came was a sweeper, and the sweeper saw that the Decepticons suffered heavy losses in that battle, so it decided to help Megatron teach the Autobots a lesson about the shootings. Red Spider feels that the cleaning machine is strange. The cleaning machine found the mini King Kong that made up the Thunder Shield on a plane. Not far behind him, the car was at war with the Decepticons, and Zhen was driving a unicorn to confront the Autobots against the Decepticons. The unicorn held a beam of magnum in its hand, and when it saw the Decepticons, it was as if it had beaten chicken blood. Holding the star sword, it charged towards the enemy's territory. Concentrate on the intense shooting, as if the three of them are attacking, Optimus Prime reminded. Of course I know, I can deal with them, because with the star sword, I am invincible. The slam shooter intended to use the same technique again, but he wanted to cut off the destroyer's barrel once again. Furious shooting in the air. The unicorn beam magnum fired a light bullet and brought down Gale from the sky, causing serious injuries to Gale. Just trust these people to me, Zhen said. The Red Spider started a fierce shooting competition in the morning. The sword of the big Red Spider was not as good as the Star Sword. Even though the Red Spider's swordsmanship was extremely advanced, the opponent was using the Star Sword. With just one block, they could completely neutralize the Red Spider's attack. Subsequently, the Red Spider's sword was shaken out by the Star Sword. This battle seems to be getting more and more interesting. It's not bad to watch you fight to pass the time, said the sweeper sitting still. The conversation with the cleaning machine did not disturb the battle between Slash and Red Spider. Red Spider's fierce attack made Slash unable to resist for a moment. Slash received encouragement from Ryder in the base and exploded seeds, cutting Red Spider's sword with one sword. The cleaning machine saw the situation and made the Red Spider step back from the formation, while fighting against the Slash. The cleaning machine spoke up, Slash, you can win not because of your own strength, but because of the ability of that sword. Optimus Prime wanted to make the slam shooter retreat, but the slam shooter believed he could fight against the sweeper. Boss, for this kind of person who overestimates his abilities, let me handle it. When I work with the Star Sword, we will be invincible, the slam shooter said proudly. But reality hit the face so quickly that when he used the Star Sword to strike the cleaning machine, the Star Sword was grabbed by the cleaning machine with one hand, and then the cleaning machine grabbed the shock shot and continuously attacked it with his fists. The final heavy punch completely knocked down the shootout. The Star Sword fell from the hands of the Slayer, and Megatron intended to grab it. However, Optimus Prime and the Unicorn stood in front of the Star Sword and picked it up. Megatron asked others to collect the Mini King Kong, and after finding the Mini King Kong, he left the battlefield. After experiencing the failure of this battle, the laser only practiced wielding the sword in the base and did not engage in combat with others. And coincidentally, the humans in the base are all comforting the failure of the shootout. But I always thought it was a cleaning machine, and I won the game when he wasn't paying attention. That was just an accident, and I'm not familiar with how to use the Star Sword. Now I have undergone strict training with the Star Sword, and I believe he and I will eventually be invincible, he laughed. Finally, Zhen brought the news of discovering the Mini King Kong, and everyone arrived at their destination through the land bridge. Zhen piloted a unicorn and followed Optimus Prime to the cave to search for the Mini King Kong. The Decepticons are hiding here, setting up traps and preparing to ambush the Autobots. When Optimus Prime discovered the Mini King Kong, he was attacked by shells fired by Decepticons. The unicorn used a shield to clear the way for Optimus Prime, but Megatron appeared in front of them. Zhen immediately elevated the unicorn to destruction mode. The red spiritual support on the body is constantly shining with a red light. The unicorn used a beam of light from Magnum to launch a light bullet attack on Megatron, and a powerful fusion light bullet passed through the tunnel. After the smoke dissipated, Megatron walked out of the left tunnel. The unicorn immediately picked up its beam sword and attacked Megatron, buying time for Optimus Prime to awaken the mini King Kong behind him. After Optimus Prime awakened the mini King Kong, the unicorn let Optimus Prime stand behind him and let him counterattack, driving his shield out of the tunnel. The intense combat fire outside was still heavily attacked by the cleaning machine. Even though the Star Sword was used, the effect was still minimal. As the cleaning machine was about to steal the Star Sword, a glowing bullet swept past the cleaning machine, and the person who came was a double-sided person. The reinforcements who cleaned up a car arrived at the base that was convenient for Megatron to return to the Decepticons. As Zhen looked at the two-faced man, she already knew that he was the robot that attacked him last time. Zhen had intended to remind people around her to pay attention to him, but only Optimus Prime, Smokescreen, Red Alert, and Alexis remained skeptical. And with the help of the two-faced man, the laser started completely, believing that the two-faced man was in the Autobots' camp. Chapter 10. Revealing the identities of spies from both sides. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ryder and Carlos are driving a two-faced man on the road, and they both believe in the two-faced man, just like the two-faced man, because they helped with a shootout in the last battle. Double-faced person, let me introduce the mysterious robot pilot who appeared in the battle last time, his name is Yu. Red pointed to Zhen and said. After learning about the driver of the robot, the two-faced man began to make some small calculations. He learned from the previous defeats of the Decepticons that the terrifying power of the Night-Gen robot might affect his future plans if he was not eliminated. He wanted to make a plan to eliminate Zhen. He first wanted to get close to Zhen and be moved in front of her. When Zhen completely believed him, he directly stabbed her back to make Megatron believe that his camp was the Decepticons. The alarm in the base sounded, and when everyone went to the battle site, they were ambushed by the Decepticons. Fortunately, everyone found cover and launched a counterattack. Zhen drove the 00 and kept following behind the assault. He felt that the two-faced man would definitely stab the assault's back, take him into the Decepticon base, and then snatch away the Star Sword in his hand. At this moment, the fierce Archer Iron used the Star Sword to destroy all the cover of the Decepticons and arrogantly said, "Run away, run away. With this weapon, I will not win the victory of this war." Red Spider pretended to want to escape back to the base, and Megatron originally wanted to continue fighting against Slash, but everyone else made me earn money to retreat. Megatron pretended to fire shells at the car, feigning an intention to escape from the rear, and then launched a fierce shot and chased after the two-faced man. Optimus Prime, I'm afraid they might have an accident, so I'm following them. You guys go find the mini King Kong. Zhen drove 00 and followed up. The Decepticons, who were fleeing in the distance, discovered the mini King Kong and shot to cover for the double-faced man to retrieve it. However, he seemed to have overestimated his own strength, and Megatron stepped on the shot below. Slash wildly with the Star Sword in hand. 00 used a beam short sword to attack Megatron. Megatron released the burst shot, grabbed the double-faced man, and took the mini King Kong from the double-faced man's hand. Finally, they retreated to the base. Shooting fiercely, the two-faced man and Zhen followed the Decepticons to the Decepticons' base. In the Decepticon base, Megatron saw that the mini diamond in his hand had not yet awakened, so he completely crushed this useless mini diamond. Blazing back on Ryder and his team's encouragement, he strengthened his beliefs. It seems that today is my lucky day, and I have eliminated your group of Decepticons here. The fierce shot swung its Star Sword towards Megatron. The Autobots did not find the Slash and wanted to return to the base to locate the trail of the Slash. I guess the Slash should have been teleported to the Decepticon base, but we don't need to worry too much about the Slash because he has the Star Sword in his hand and has been practicing swordsmanship for a while. He will definitely be able to safely return from the Decepticon machine. They said. Optimus Prime thought for a moment and said, "Can you confirm the base of the Decepticons with some of my information on the Red Alert?" And Harrow, who was placed in the base by Zhen, tried to crack the interference system in the Decepticon's base to crack the interference system of the Decepticon spacecraft and find the traces of the three of them. After Harrow told the news to others, he cracked the interference device together with the red alarm. The three members of Zhen crazily destroyed the Decepticon base. Megatron led the Decepticons to counterattack while escaping the spacecraft. After launching the last shell in a frenzy, all Decepticons retreated to the moon. "Those cowards gave up their base," he said as he saw all the Decepticons escape. "Let's be careful, in case they are ambushing us when we chase out. It's over," Zhen reminded. "Don't be afraid, the Star Sword is in our hands, and they can't cause any harm to us. Moreover, they unleash all the power of the Star Sword with their burst shots, so there's no need to be afraid of the Decepticons." The two-faced man lured them to the outside of the Decepticon base. Zhen followed behind the two-faced man and the laser. When they arrived at a crater, the figures of Optimus Prime and other Autobots suddenly appeared in front of them. 00 immediately used a GN beam saber to scatter all the illusions in front of them. "The Autobots in front of us are all fake, and Optimus Prime doesn't know the location of the Decepticon base. They want to use projection devices to attract our attention and take advantage of the opportunity to ambush us," Zhen said after cutting off all the virtual shadows in front of us. The virtual shadows in front of the catapult are increasing, and the speed advantage of the combination of the 00 and 0 lift wings at night allows for quick cleaning of the virtual shadows on the scene. After the Harrow and Red alert in the Autobots base stopped the interference system in the Decepticons, they detected a burst signal and after determining their location, they arrived on the moon through a land bridge. After the discovery of the Decepticons by the Slash-Shooter and the Double-Faced Man, the Slash-Shooter launched an attack on the Double-Faced Man Decepticon while riding the aircraft. "I didn't promise the Red Spider all day. If he snatches the Star Sword, he will take care of it." So the Red Spider faced the Slash shot, while the Double-Faced Man fought against Megatron. During the fight, the Double-Faced Man was unfortunately caught, and Megatron threatened him with the Slash shot. The Red Spider took advantage of the Slash shot not paying attention and used his sword to strike the Slash shot's hand. The Red Spider snatched the Star Sword from his hand. After dealing with the other two Decepticons, 00 lifted the Slash from the ground, and the two-faced man whispered to Megatron, "You make a condition to slash and exchange it with me using that robot." During the exchange, I stabbed both of them in the back. Immediately after, Double-Faced Man revealed that the robot was driven by a human, and Megatron also knew the name of Zhen. Double-Faced Man proposed using electric shock to deal with Zhen. After Megatron announced the conditions, Zhen agreed to the deal and walked towards the Decepticons alone. The two-faced man approached the slam shot, and Megatron grabbed 00 and continuously shocked him. The shootout was originally intended to rescue Zhen, but suddenly the double-dot-sided person fired a shell at the shootout. Fortunately, the floating shield of 00 blocked the shootout, and the double-dot-sided person was knocked away by the sudden appearance of the cleaning machine. The Autobots arrived at the outskirts of the Decepticon base and discovered them. Megatron threatened with 00 and said, "If you hand over your mini King Kong, I'll take him out. I think you look down on me too much, right?" Then 00 quantized and came behind Megatron, and the GN short sword chopped off the barrel on Megatron's body. "It seems that the situation on the battlefield has turned around," Zhen said with a smile. Megatron immediately asked the other members of the Decepticons to run back to the spacecraft, and he used a space bridge to transport the entire spacecraft to the far side of the moon. In the following war, the cleaning machine began to teach Shore some fighting knowledge, and Shore swore that he would repair the guy who betrayed him well.